Well, as the people in the social media land do, they sit here and make small talk until they get some folks. But I'm going to be honest, I know I ain't got a lot of folks on my page, but that's going to change, I imagine. So, hey.
Hey. What's going on?
All right.
Instagram family.
All right, so let's get started. We're in the this shows me going. Okay, that's time.
What ties on?
I should have like a little.
You got Tiger.
All right. So, welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
So we're starting. Let's introduce ourselves. Go ahead. You can.
Well, didn't I say ladies
men
before
first.
gentlemen? So tonight I'll let my beautiful wife introduce herself first.
Age before beauty. So you go first.
Wisdom. Okay, I appreciate that. Welcome, Instagram family. Thank you so much for joining our program tonight. My name is Reverend Dr. Graham Brown. I adjunct professor. I teaches at South Florida Bible College Theological Seminary. I also teaches at New York Divinity School. I'm also associate pastor at Bronx Baptist Church. This is my beautiful wife here. I'll let her introduce herself as well.
You got any more you want to add to your introduction?
Anymore, I'll just say I'm one of the most handsome men she ever met.
Oh my God.
Before, so.
Let's see. I set myself up for that. Nevertheless, I am as well Dr. Graham Brown, Dr. Frankie Graham Brown, and I also am a professor. I teach business and economics at South Florida Bible College with my husband. And also, I'm a professor at Mercy College. And I dabble in other contract work and things of that nature. But that's not what we're here for tonight. We are here to discuss marriages. And it has been on my heart for some time to just talk about our experience being married for 13 years. And just the ups and downs of what that looks like. And how...
13 years.
Yeah, 13 years. Wow. That's lucky 13.
13.
Right? And how, if anyway, we can help people who are prepared to get married, who are thinking of getting married, were married, getting married again. And we just need we want to give insight, because I believe the best thing to do for marriages is to be in good company of people that are married. And that doesn't happen a lot. And we didn't have that when we were maybe we had it when we first started, right? We were around a lot of married couples, but
that's when we were involved in the couple ministry at First Baptist.
Yeah, but as we moved to New York, we definitely fell away from having the ability to be around other married couples, and I think that greatly impacts your marriage, because you don't have that wise counsel that you need, and you don't have those people that are going to help you in your marriage who I don't know. I think I'm getting stumped there, but go ahead.
Well, have somebody in our marriage, somebody who can mentor us, because the Bible said, the older woman mentor the younger woman, and vice versa with the man. So we don't see that a lot in our churches today, and especially in the area of Christian marriage. Mm-hmm. And there's a great need in that arena. And so much we are lacking in that area. Yeah. But, before we even delve into that more, we would just want to talk about our little segment tonight. Yeah. We're just going to tell
everybody.
Hello, everyone. We're just going to talk about how we initially met. I know sometimes, there's two versions to the story.
It's your version and
my wife
and then the right version
is she says she's accurate, but mine, I believe, is ultimately accurate. But
okay.
But sometimes, guys, we don't get the credit. But hey, we are called to humble to be the first.
Can
Amen.
We start?
Praise God. Amen.
Okay.
All right,
this guy.
So begin.
All right. So like every good love story, we just want to just talk about how we met and just put that on the table. We're definitely here to answer questions if anyone wants to ask a question. But we prepared a couple of different topics earlier as I was talking to my friend circles, and I had some really, really good topics. So we won't be able to cover everything this first night, but hopefully with participation and engagement and just maybe you enjoying what you hear or even see, we can do it again. All right. So, babe, how did we meet? When did we meet? What year did we meet?
We met in, I want to say, probably 2005. No?
No. 2006. 2006. Probably. It was a sunny December day in December. Oh, yeah, in December in 2006. We met at work. See, Penny knows. In 2006, we met at work.
Penny knows.
Boom, 2006. We met at work, and most people definitely get sound advice. Do not date people you work with. Do not have work relationships. And for every reason that they say is every reason or every rule that we broke, which is why you should not get married or meet people at work. But I think it worked out.
Right? Well, go ahead, yeah.
Just a simple. Okay, well, we met at work. I had just moved to Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, and we both were starting our first day at a new job. And we were in orientation, and it was a small group of about 10 of us. And maybe the second day of orientation, I saw him coming in, a lot less gray, way more hair.
Buff.
And
working out.
Definitely I was enticed, right? And I was like, oh, he is nice looking. You know, just the right height, just a little bit shorter than me. Right? And just a nice color brown so we can have cute little babies in my head. And I was like, let me see what he's hollering about, right? So every day when we were at work, we would have orientation, and I would put my purse, ladies, because your mom says don't ever put your purse on the ground. So I would put my purse on the chair, and it would be reserved. And so every day when he came in late, I would take my purse off the chair, and he would have no other choice but to sit next to me. And this happened for what, 2 weeks? 2 weeks.
Yeah, probably 2 weeks.
And this guy didn't get it. This guy didn't get it until someone finally realized in our circle, like, yo, she's keeping the chair for you because she likes you. And then that's all I can remember. And then after that, I think, who made the first move?
Well,
I made the first move?
Let me see. I remember who. Somebody made the first move.
I remember you gave him my first. You made the first kiss move, though.
Did I make the first kiss?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yes. But go ahead.
Yes. As she said, it's interesting because I applied for a job.
I'm not going to read.
How we met. I applied for a job for a counseling position at the veteran hospital. And, they gave me like 3 months to wait for a while, to wait. And, my goal was not to stay at the job that we were training at. And my goal was to, once they called me, I'll be gone. And it didn't work, but they never called. So eventually,
look at God.
And, we end up, it's kind of ironic because even some people knew that we were going to get together before we even know about it.
Yeah.
And that was so crazy about it. But, I met Frank. As she said, I was coming in. I saw this chair empty. I'm thinking, why is this girl leaving this chair empty all the time? And, I didn't pay her too much attention. I thought it was several guys who were interested in her.
Can you imagine? He never paid me no attention.
I never paid her attention. And I even expressed to her, there was a gentleman that, Frank, I thought this guy liked
His name was Fred.
Yeah,
right?
Fred.
How do I know that?
But anyway,
right.
Long story short, we end up working together. Mm-hmm. And, I became very attractive towards her because I like how she carried herself, number one.
We ended up working together. We ended up working together as peers. I eventually got a promotion and I became his boss. And so I would assign him to the locations that I worked at. So he could work with me.
Oh,
right?
Lord.
And then eventually I got fired, though. Right?
So fraternizing with the...
Yeah, we were doing too much. That's why you can't work together.
Oh, my goodness.
But we still remain together. And we met in 2006. We broke up. And we were broke up for 6 months, right?
For 6 months, right?
6 horrible months. And then we got back together. And then what a way to get back together.
I proposed.
He proposed. and we've been together ever since.
Ever
and
since,
13
right.
years later,
We have two beautiful daughters.
children later, 4 houses later, 2 states later, we are still here.
We're still here by the grace of God.
Let's just talk a little bit about that, sustaining transitions. So
Right.
let's talk about, I just want to talk about a few questions that we have, or just comments of topics we want to discuss. And we won't hold you guys long, but let's talk about, where you want to start? Let's talk about transitions. That's not
Right.
on our list, but I think that's a great way to just go into the topic. So
Right.
how do you sustain love or during life transitions? I met when I was 27. I'm in my 40s now, and you were 30.
32?
No,
No, I was 34.
he was like almost 35 or something. He's 8 years
34.
older than me, and so talk about
Rock the boat.
talk
Right
about
now.
talk about. Let's look at the evolution of our marriage and who we were then
Right.
versus who we are now.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about that?
I think
who were
going.
you then?
Oh
versus
man,
who you are now?
I was very. I want to say. I was the type of person that I want my wife to be heavy involved in the church life. And, you know, sometimes when you're young, naive, unsophisticated in that, you know, sometimes you make mistakes, not realizing. And somehow I was trying to, you know, push her too much to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
And it did create some tension in our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, but, you know, you learn as you grow.
That was even during dating.
Yeah, during dating.
Hey, everyone that's saying
Yes.
hello.
Hello, everyone. And, you know, the transition at that time was very emotionally impacted towards my wife. And,
Which one? Moving here?
Yeah, before we moved here, but religiously. And then, you know, we went to the same church together. And then I believe in 2013, the Lord has called me here to do ministry. And I told my wife about it. She was not receptive initially about it,
Let's move here?
to move here.
Yeah.
She, you know, because she had friends. And then, you know, her mom was in Louisville, Kentucky. And she was very close to her mother. And that's one thing, actually, that's another thing I love about her that attract me towards her, is to see the dynamic between her and her mom. And I tell you guys, when you find a woman who loved their mom like that, that's a treasure to hold close
Yeah.
to your heart.
Yeah.
So that was very attractive to me. But anyway, so, you know.
Transitions.
Right, time was transition.
One of
so,
the things that we used to do, we love to exercise together. That was one of our first dates, and we loved nature and walking, just being active. And one of the
actually,
things,
our first date was
at the gym.
Starbucks.
Yeah, Starbucks in the gym.
Starbucks in the gym, that's right.
Yeah. So one of the things that Pedro used to always say, because when I met him, he was not a pastor of sorts yet. And one of the things that he used to say is, well, you know, I have a heart for pastoring, and I need you to get it together. I need you to stop doing what you're doing so you can be a pastor's wife. And come on, guys who are on my side. Y'all know me. And the first words that I said was, well, you ain't a pastor yet, so let me do my thing. Let me do my thing. And then when you jump on and get the collar, I'll be ready to go. But I think that would have been more of an abrupt transition from the world straight to the double doors of the church. That would have been difficult. Even though I don't think I still did it that way. But the main thing, well, that was one of the reasons why we broke up, was because I was not ready to take on that transition.
Because she was
And move
still,
over.
you know, doing her thing.
Well, here's the thing, guys, and this is what we're talking about, transitions. If you have lived your life a certain way independently for such a long period of time, and then you have someone that comes in and wants to share your life but wants you to be something that you are not used to being, that can be quite difficult.
And that's
Even
true.
if it's
true.
for the best of you. I never denied that being part of Christ and doing church things was bad. I just wasn't ready. That meant I had to give up everything that I enjoyed, which it was wrong, or I maybe shouldn't have liked as much. But nevertheless, I couldn't say, well, what you doing about it? I don't see you changing. How you going to tell me something when you just met me? You don't even know me like that. How you going to make me change?
But then, funny thing, because I knew that she was still having a worldliness in her.
Wine.
And but the Bible said, love overcomes, right?
Yeah.
But I thank God that we got back together when we broke
Yeah.
up for 6 months.
Yeah.
And it was not so much about her per se why we broke up.
Here's my question: what made you get back with me?
I came back to you because there's something about you that really stood with me, and that within those 6 months, I was thinking about her, and
Were you dating other people?
no, I wasn't, and until now she doesn't believe me. There was one lady that co-worker I told her about, and she still don't believe me.
We just talked about work. You talking about a co-worker.
But did she say, was I dated? No, I was very faithful, being single, not dating that time. And but something about her really, like I said, that resonate and resurrect in me.
Ooh.
And I began to, reconnect back with her.
I tell you, one of the main things I dated. Let me tell you that I dated during our breakup, and one of the things that really solidified the reason why I knew that Pedro was who I was supposed to be with is that the other dudes, they were unchivalrous. They never held the car door open for me. I mean, I'd be sitting there left on the street, and they'd be jumping in their ride, almost about to go, and I'm like, "Yo, you ain't gonna get this door." So that was the one thing. And I remember I was literally on a date with somebody else, and I headed up to here, and I called Pedro at like 3:00 in the morning, and we hadn't talked for like a month or so.
Right.
And I was like, come get me. And he was like, where you at? And I was like, I'll be sitting outside waiting. I literally left my date, stood outside, and he came and got me. And then we were back together.
We went on a picnic
and stuck together.
Yeah,
we were stuck together. And then we were done.
And then we were done.
So, transitions. How can you tell? What's the difference? Are there any differences that you've learned from being year 1 to year 10? Look, I got a mic. I don't know why.
So the transition
from year 1 to year 10.
Guys, I'll tell you one thing. I have continue to learn that you don't try to put yourself in God's place. One of the things that brought perspective to me about my wife is that God began to minister to me and say, listen, you messed up too. You do wrong too. And how much I've been patient with you. And I tell you guys, when that came to my spirit, it literally flowed me. It humbled me. Mm-hmm. And that's when I began to really grow to love my wife unconditionally. Yeah. Right? So when I came here now, 10 years now, transition, I've seen God. I've learned not to put myself in God's place. There's certain things that God needs to do, and then I need to just step back and let God does what he does best. Because one thing I know is that God know about her, all of her composition. God put her together. God know her DNA. God know her ups and downs. So I'm not God. So I've learned how to step back. And even right now, I see some of the changes. I mean, my wife is being transformed in my eyes. And I tell you, I am so grateful to God about that. And one thing I've learned to, don't interject in the process. Because once you do that, then you might interfere with her growth. Yeah. And I've learned that a lot tremendously. And I just step back and then let her do what she needs to do and let God do what he needs to do with her.
Perspective. It's all about perspective. And right. I hear that so much. And I agree. The more that Pedro wanted me to change and wanted me to be the person that he wanted me to be, I fought against it twice as hard. Right. And he was like, I need you to be this way. And I was like, I'm going this way. And so it's important in a marriage that you can't force things upon people how you want them to be. And it's all about perspective. You just have to let go and let God.
Let go and let God. And by the way, let me say this here. Yeah. One of the things that I know my wife didn't say this in the beginning, the commencement of the conversation, and that is that, she said that she never dated a light-skinned guy. You believe that? A light skinned guy. Yeah, you said that. You said you don't date light skinned guy.
No,
I said, listen.
I think
So I
they're
said to
cute.
her, I said, listen,
Like,
you
they're
know,
cute.
once you take a taste
Sir.
of Jamaica, you can't go back.
Sir.
I'm just having fun. But anyway, but you know, I'm thinking, I said, why wouldn't you want to date a light skinned guy? I said, what is your problem with light skinned guy?
Where is that coming from?
No, I'm just saying. But now, you know, the
Well,
dynamic.
if I'm honest, Pedro can say that he's never dated a lot of brown skinned ladies.
Yes, I do.
His forte was of the Caucasian persuasion.
And listen, my background is very mixed. Okay.
Okay.
I dated white.
There we go.
Black, all of the above.
I'm just saying. But wait, let's go back. Transitions.
Yes, let's stay focused.
Stay focused. The question was transitions. I definitely can see, and I even hate to admit how much I have changed from the beginning of our marriage till today. It's really creepy, scary, because, you know, I try to be real, like, buff and rough and hard and on the exterior. But I have changed tremendously. My patience has definitely, I don't know if that's changed. I think it's gotten better. But you have more patience for people that you love, I believe. But even if, one of the things we want to discuss is you definitely are not the same person that you are when you started a marriage as you evolve in a marriage, right? When we both started, for me, like I said, my name is Dr. Frankie Graham Brown. Okay, I have a doctorate of philosophy in management. When I met Pedro, I had a bachelor's of science. I had a bachelor's of arts. Let me quit playing. All right, it was in psychology. Okay,
That's it, right?
Shout out to IU. Okay, but he even gave me the idea. Once we had our first kid, I really wanted to go back to school. I really wanted to do something different. And as soon as we had our first baby girl, he was like, well, I work nights. You go to school in the evening and then just be home before I can go to work. And I'll watch our girl. I'll watch our daughter. And so we did that for 2 years. And that helped me get my master's degree.
Right. And even with that, right, because I'm glad that she brought that up. Because, you know, sometimes when you see the potential in your mate, you know, you want to be, you know, you want to be that person, as the Bible said, iron sharpened iron.
Yeah.
And I know that my wife has the potential to do great things. I saw that in her. And so we were willing to make the sacrifice because the goal is that, you know, if she make it, I make it. And that's my philosophy. It's a biblical principle.
Yeah.
Right? So when she finished her master, you know, I said to her, I said, listen, you need to go for your PhD. And she didn't want to go at first, but I said, Frankie, you have the potential and to do your PhD.
Yeah.
And but anyway, she did it, and the transition from Louisville to here was very interesting.
Okay,
right?
So we got a question. Was it frustrating having to wait on... Come on. Was it frustrating having to wait on God to make his move?
Oh, yes. You know, let me expound.
In me? To make his move in me? I'm sure it was frustrating.
No, it wasn't. Actually, it wasn't frustrating.
For you?
No. Let me tell you why it wasn't frustrating. Because I wouldn't be here unless she was ready to make the transition. And when I knew that my wife was not ready to make the transition...
Oh, for both us?
For both of us,
to make his move on both of us.
Right. Well, actually, I knew God said to me that he was going to transition us. But my wife did not receive that.
No, I didn't get that memo.
She didn't get that memo.
No. Jesus
so what I
did not
began
tell
to do is that I began to pray and to fast. And then I would send her messages that I would listen to. I said, wow, this message is really speaking to our situation. And even when we went to church, you know, Pastor Nelson was preaching.
Yeah.
And the message that he was preaching was lining up exactly what God was about to do in our lives. Yeah. So God was just confirming it. And once I began to pray and trust God, then, you know, her heart was touched and her heart was willing to make the transition to come.
I always joke and say that Pedro sold me on the idea of coming to New York City because of all the glitz and the glamour. He was like, babe, you like fashion. This is where you need to be. Oh, you know, you used to model. Let's go ahead and get this done. So in my head, I'm thinking fashion, you know, Sex in the City. and then we pull up in our U-Haul in the Bronx, and it looked like The Wire. Okay, I mean, it was like rats, trash cans, trash bags, everything.
That's
and I was
in Rat City.
No, that was unsex in that city. Okay, it wasn't anything that I thought, but. The thing was, and a lot of people always wonder, like, why would you make that move? Why would you leave your parents? Why would you leave your mom? Why would you leave this? And the goal of it is because I trusted my husband, and I knew that whatever vision the God gave him is a vision that's for just not him, but it's for our household. Right. And so if God told him to move, he didn't say, Pedro, you pack your bags and go. He said, y'all, as a collective, move. And then so I trusted that. And has it been easy? No.
Yeah, no, but here's the great thing about the transition too, right? Because as my wife said before, I used to work third shift, and then she would work in the day. So when we come in, I come in with like night and day.
Yeah.
I'm coming in, I'm going to bed, taking care of Zola when Zola's a baby, and she's going on. But one of the greatest blessing of because my wife always expressed that she would prefer me to stay at home. Right, with her and Zola at that time when she was a baby. So when we transitioned here to New York, it was such a blessing. I didn't have to work anymore third shift anymore.
Yeah.
I'd come home, spend the time with my wife and my daughter. So being here brought us closer.
Yeah.
And it really did. It really did brought us closer.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about it that way. Unfortunately, I was thinking more about myself, and definitely more selfishly. But I can say, being here, I was really able to be attentive to our daughter, and even have another one, and be all in for her. And I've been home with her for the first 5 years of her life, and that's something I didn't get when we had Zola at home, because we were working. And we were quite busy, and we were two ships in the night. He would work day, I would work night.
Right.
And so we were just literally existing in a relationship, which brings me to my next question. One of the comments, and let's add one to that, about being best friends, right? One of the things was we weren't able to really cultivate a friendship because we were passing ships in the night, right? You want to speak on that a little bit?
Well, my wife always expressed to me that she wanted to be my best friend. And, sometimes, guys, when you are set in your ways, and, it is, because sometimes when you are independent and you took care of yourself, and, this person coming into your life, and again, we don't know the love language. Sometimes the love language is right in our face, and we just don't see it, just don't recognize it.
Yeah.
And then my wife she has expressed to me that she want to be me to be her best friend. I just didn't know how to
be a best friend,
articulate it, and how to be a best friend. I know I love my wife, but to get me from point A to point B, where I can be a best friend, was it was a little difficult, to be honest with you. It really was.
So there's definitely levels to marriages, and there's definitely levels of entry. In business, we talk about entry to markets, different levels of entry, and I think our level of entry was definitely different, because most people start off as best friends, or start up as friends and are familiar with each other, and then they decide that the friendship grows to like, grows to love. And me and Pedro, our marriage was founded on lust.
Booty.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was. We did
No. We can't say 100%.
Well, no, but
there was some love.
I didn't know him like that. I didn't know you like that, and so I fell in love with you because I fell in love with you. Right. And then we kind of started backwards. So we fell in love with each other, and then we got to know each other, and then kind of realized, I don't know if I like you. But by that time we were already in. We were already like 5-6 years in, and we were like, "Whoa, how do we get?"
And beyond, it's been some struggle. It's been some tension, right? You want to share an experience?
I like when you said "been."
Yeah, extension.
We ain't got it.
Let me give an example.
Ooh, what you gonna talk about?
No, I'm gonna say it. Just talk about it. I'll give a prime example. I remember we lived in Louisville, Kentucky, and my wife and I got into it. Right, this friend Zola was probably like 2 or 3, and my wife wanted to take Zola over to mommy house. I said, "No, you ain't take her nowhere."
Oh yeah.
And then I said, "No, you're gonna leave her here." And then she called the police on me.
I did. I called the cops because
she called the cops. But here's the funny thing about it too. It's so funny.
That's funny now.
No, it's funny now. But
it's funny now.
I never have any hatred towards her for that. I really didn't. To be quite honest with you. Don't get me wrong. I was upset.
Well, I'm sure you didn't. I did not like.
I just didn't like the fact that she called the cop.
Yeah.
But I wasn't cursing her. Until now, I never said. Since we've been married, I've never really.
Well, let's. Here's the thing. But let's talk about this.
Right. No, I'm saying.
Do you have to? Yeah. Do you have to like your spouse? Are there times when you do not like your spouse?
Yeah, I mean there are times.
Is there problematic?
One of the things I've learned in marriage, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody said this here: your greatest ministry is your marriage, and that is so true. Mm-hmm. So there's things that you're gonna see in that person that you're not gonna like, right? And sometimes, as my wife prefaced by saying that, we didn't get to know each other. We was dating a little bit as friend, so it was difficult to navigate through some things that.
Yeah. And then shortly after we got married, we had a baby.
We had a baby.
So we didn't even get the honeymoon phase of being married and enjoying us as Pedro and Frankie for a year. It was like Pedro and Frankie for some months. Boom, here comes this kid. And now we're a family of 3, and we didn't get a chance to really cultivate our relationship and realize what he liked, what I liked, what we enjoyed together. And so now we're playing catch up.
But in a way, though, to be honest with you, Zola being
which isn't a bad thing.
Was a blessing, though.
I'm not saying that was a problem.
Was a blessing. It was really a blessing because it showed that
it put us in.
It put me closer to her, right?
To
you. Oh. It really did. Because one thing my mom have taught me is to be respectful.
Yeah.
Towards female. And so anyway, it was a blessing, but we didn't get to know each other, and I think that's one of the regrets.
Yeah.
But something you learn, right?
Which is why we're here today,
right?
Because we're essentially starting our marriage backwards, and now that our children are a little bit older, we are able to realize what we enjoy about spending time with each other, and realizing that we need to work on our marriage just as much as we work on being parents and having a family. And we've seen a lot of marriages end because they focus either solely on their kids or they focus on growing themselves, and they leave out the unity, which is a marriage. Hello, everybody that is coming in. Hey, John.
But you're on the one thing, though. When we used to go to the couple ministry at our church, back in Louisville, Kentucky, we used to do some activity, and shout out to Brother Hooks and Sister Hooks, who was involved in the couple ministry, and we used to do this activity, right? And every time we do an activity, my wife and I would be hot and cold. We would
never win.
She'll be on the cold side, I'll be on the hot side.
Yeah.
And we do another activity, I would be on the cold side. I would be right. So it was. The dynamic was very interesting. In our first stage.
Well, and a lot of it could be generationally based. He's 8 years older than me, and he's a little bit. I say we are in an intercultural relationship. He's of a Caribbean descent. I'm of African American descent, and so his culture and his values, and he brings them, impresses upon me, aren't what I know, right? And even just the food, the language, the mannerisms, the thoughts, those are totally different. So his expectations for me as a wife are rooted in his culture, as is my expectations of being brought up as a single mom are rooted in my culture. So,
to some extent, because, my family background, we have the spiral marriage.
What's that mean?
I mean, ups and downs.
Everybody
do. So, growing up, I didn't really have a good foundation.
Yeah.
Of what a marriage looked like.
I was just gonna say that. Neither did I.
Right.
I think the most of good marriages I've ever seen were my best friend's parents. Shout out to the Bowens, who's been married for eons. Shout out to the Perrys that were married for a long time as well. And so those are really the households that I saw of families that were really, truly married outside of my television family, the Cosbys, right? And my brother and his wife have been married for eons. Right. But even still, I never got to see that firsthand. I didn't get to see the ins and the outs and the let's go to bed, let's not argue. And so when we both came into marriage, again, our idea of what this was supposed to look like, the bubble was inflated. Because I assume, okay, I'm getting married, you know exactly what I want, you know exactly what I need. And that was not the case. And I am not the person to vocalize that. I'd rather be frustrated and expect you to figure it out. And Pedro's the opposite. He's going to tell me what he wants and tell me what he needs. But I ain't got time for that.
And that's the dynamic about it, right? That's just I want to call it the social spiritual dynamic. Because I'm the type of person who like to confront a situation with a spiritual application to it. I like to address it right away rather than let it linger. My wife is the type of person who wants to hold it for a while. I'm the type of person, no, let's talk about it. About it. And that was really difficult initially.
Is that because you've seen that happen before? What your family is, they're very forthright. Right. I don't think any Grahams or Browns hold anything in.
Right, we don't hold anything.
You guys go straight to it.
We go straight, right.
And I think I was raised to just be quiet about it. Let it be. If you're not dead, you ain't need to worry about it. If you ain't bleeding, you ain't got to go to the hospital.
Right. I think, and that so is that a really cultural, really, that's really a
that
cultural.
That really impacted our communication.
Right. That's a cultural part of it too.
Okay.
The culture will make a big impact. And so long story short, we
where was we going with that?
No, we're just going in the sense of was that the
I
like?
I think that was like an
what the like, right? So,
did you like me? Did we establish that? Have you ever had a day where you unliked me?
I mean, not that I unlike. I just don't like certain of her behaviors, right? And that was one of my biggest struggles.
What's one of your biggest pet peeves?
You don't want me to say unlike.
Should I? Hopefully, I know it already. Don't bombard me with something new. I don't care.
You care?
I'm fine with that.
All right, so this is the thing about it.
I mean, you gotta be all elaborate about it.
Okay, my wife don't be.
But you can go ahead.
About it, but this is just initial right now. We don't want to go unpack too much, but
well, one of the things that he doesn't like, that if you know me, you know me.
That's right. One of the things I didn't like about my wife, she used to smoke, right? Weed, and it took me a while to come into that understanding.
Okay.
Because one of the things about it that sometimes sometimes we have a false perception about marriage, and when we get in it, we bring those notions, and we think because it may work for one couple, it may work for the other couple. So we interpose that into our marriage, and then something, it created conflict, it created tension. And sometimes what may work for a certain marriage, this position may not work for us. Yeah. So I've learned to be patient with my wife in that area. And let me tell you something, man. We talking about go back to transition. I mean, literally, I've seen God just took that away from my wife. And the greatest thing about it is that I didn't have to do anything about it. The only thing I had to do is stood beside it. One thing she said to me, I just want to feel as if you are there with me. I remember when she said that, and it spoke so loud to my spirit.
Yeah.
And then when she told me that, I said, you know what? Okay, I'm going to be right there with you, not even criticize you, right? I may not agree with it.
No, really, what? What did I miss, Hans? No, really? No, I would say one of the thing is, like I said earlier, the more you tell someone not to do it, the more they're going to do it.
The more they're going to do it, exactly.
And I am the youngest of three. I am spoiled rotten. My brother and my sister will attest to that. And so I am used to getting my way. And so when he would tell me don't do it, I'm like, watch this. Okay. and then it became just it became a battle back and forth of what's really important, right? And it wasn't until this year, I think it was, that he was just like, you know what, I'm gonna just let it be. I'm gonna let it be. I'm gonna let you do your thing, and I'll let God have it. And when he was able just to get off my back about it and let me kind of realize what I needed to do, then that's what it ends up being. So I would say that is the most important thing, more than any, is allowing your partner to grow and evolve on their own, right? And do it their way. Do it their way and not your way. And so that's the biggest thing that I can say. One of the things I think that I don't like, I'm trying to think, that I don't like about you, and we're going to wrap this up. We only got 15 minutes, really 10.
It's very demanding.
I don't know. Sometimes he has a pious spirit, being a religious person, and he's very judgmental.
I used to be very judgmental.
You're still a little bit there.
Nah,
you're better.
Used to.
You're better.
Yeah.
Very judgmental, and I was really defensive, especially if he would talk about not judgmental towards my friends or anything like that, but judgmental in general.
Oh, I love my white friends. Oh my goodness, I do it.
Yeah, and so that really I became defensive, because I was like, why are you so judgmental? Why you always got something to say? You're supposed to be this way. Why are you acting like that? So I never was a fan of that. I think I don't have a lot of unlikes, if I can be honest. If I'm making a list, like I don't like when you clear your throat. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like when you make that noise when you brush your teeth. I mean, that's irritating.
But anyway,
but I think those are quirks. Other than,
but anything. It's good though. She don't have too much on life, so that's good.
I don't. I generally believe that because we are total opposites, and people that know us, we are total opposites. And most people will meet me first, and they'll be like, "Who is your husband?" Or they'll meet Pedro, and they'll be like, "Is that your wife?" I'm like, "How did this even happen? Where did this even come from?"
Yeah, because
no one would even think
we're too opposite.
Yeah, but opposites attract.
Opposites attract. So that's very interesting. People said, how come she's your wife?
Yeah.
Knowing you, I said, well, hey, God has a way of putting people together.
Because it's important as loud and as unruly as I am, Pedro calms me down, and he helps me be grounded, and he helps me be serious when I am not. I'm not a serious person, but I definitely think about that twice when I'm with him, because he calls me to focus and narrow in and gives me something to put my attention on. Otherwise, I'd be all over the place.
That is true. That is so true.
How do I help you?
My wife is, one of the things I share with her. So,
who's my favorite friend? I'm not getting in trouble on Instagram.
Who's your favorite friend?
Go.
That's okay. One of the things that has helped me to understand my wife's journey, my journey with my wife.
No, how do I help you?
I'm about to say, is Gary Smiley came up with a book called The 5 Love Language. And once I began to tap into her love language.
Did you say Gary Smiley?
Yeah, it's Gary. What's the guy who wrote The 5 Love Language?
Isn't Gary Smiley the radio DJ?
Not Gary Smiley. What's just the guy's name? Gary something. You know what I mean? The 5 Love Language. But anyway.
Yeah.
So one of my love languages is affirmation, right? So I told her, I said, listen, I want you to affirm me when I do certain things, because it does reaffirm something.
Gary Chapman.
Gary Chapman. That's
we were all over the place.
Gary Smiley.
I was thinking Ricky Smiley.
Ricky Smiley, not Ricky Smiley. Gary Chapman. That's the guy. Thank you so much. Yes.
Appreciate that, Benny.
And so when I did mine, I like to be affirmed when I do certain things. And I told her.
What do you like? I'm trying to say, I told you how you compliment me. You're supposed to say how I'm complimenting you.
How you compliment me by affirming me when I do certain things.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that's all I receive her.
We're not talking about love language.
I'm not talking about love, but I'm saying the affirmation,
Okay.
You will compliment me by affirming me.
I don't like it when I give really good examples and then it's his time to give an answer. And my
answer
is way better than his answer.
The biggest example that she gave me, right, and I was so appreciative about it, is that she told me that her mom said my mom said, yeah, you were really a great dad to my granddaughter. And just for her saying that to me really boosts my self-esteem up, because, I mean, she didn't have to say that to me, but, for her saying that really compliment me to say that, hey, I'm doing something right beside her and with our daughter. So, but one thing I will say is that with my wife, I see things. You gotta
get to the point.
I see great things in her, and I told her, I said, listen, you have the ability to do X, Y, and Z, and one thing I've learned about my wife is that as we grow together, she doesn't have to say a word that something is disturbing her. I can come home and I just pick it up. She doesn't have to say nothing to me. I just know. And I said, well, and that is part of the process of growing together. That your wife, you're supposed to even say something to you. Mm-hmm. You should automatically pick it up in the spirit.
I would say I saw something on TV earlier this week, and it was a nod to marriages, that the longevity of a marriage is spoken by the ability to know your spouse. And I know more about Pedro, I think, than he knows about himself. Mm-hmm. And you arguably know, and I'm not a complex book. I'm not an encyclopedia. I'm probably like a little pamphlet. But I would say that you know me better than I might know myself. Yeah. Which is kind of, because I'm interested in the pamphlet. But I would say that you definitely pick up on my emotions or my lack of emotions when I am upset or when I'm happy. And so I think that's important. Did you say one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast? Well, let's leave with that. It's almost time.
We're almost time to go. And, one of the things my wife has said to me, why this was so impressed upon her heart to do, because, we know a lot of people who are going through a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And, we have a story to share. And sometimes when we don't share our story, we're not helping that person who's going through something that we've been through. Mm-hmm. And or
just help them go through something in general.
Right.
Because marriage is unequivocally hard. And don't let people tell you that it's supposed to be easy, because they ain't been married long enough, or either they just gave up.
Right.
Okay. And it's beauty in the struggle. There's beauty for ashes. And the reasons why we're here is because I have had friends who are no longer married. I have people in my circle who have spouses that they don't even like. Okay. I have friends that are married and divorced and they're working on co-parenting. I mean, I have friends of friends, and the stories go on and on and on. And if we can share our story, if we can provide just a little bit of insight on, girl, it's tough. It's tough. But the key is to keep going and find a way to stick in it, if that's your choice. But don't be so quick to exit just because you aren't happy. Right. Because trust me, I've had years of not being happy, but it wasn't because of our marriage. It was just maybe of some circumstances.
Right.
But the key is, how does my husband respond to that to help me feel better about that?
And the way I respond to that is that
Have you ever been unhappy in our marriage?
Yeah, we all been unhappy.
Let me put that out there about myself.
We all have been unhappy. Listen, when things are not going the way that you expected, we do reach that point in our life when we.
And it's not always about your spouse. Don't be that vain to think that it's directly you. That
and also, one of the things that my wife said, and this was one of her great consternation, and that is that she used to share with me that most of the people she know are getting divorced, and then she said, we are the only one left, and she afraid that we might end up going down that road. And I said to her, I said, babe, I know we have our own issues and our challenges that we face, but one thing we do know, and I said this to about both of us, is that we do love each other. Mm-hmm. We do love each other. One thing we have made a commitment to each other is that, listen, we look at our family background and we see the history. It doesn't look too bright. Mm-hmm. And we say to ourselves, you know what? We're going to break this generational curse.
Yeah, we deserve a
chance. No matter what we go through, we go. But one thing I can say though is that, and my wife attests to this, that I will come to her and humble myself.
That's okay. That is one thing about. See, I always example. I do love that about you. Even if I'm wrong, which I hate to admit, I am sometimes. Pedro was the first person to apologize.
Say that again.
He bites that bullet, and I think that's one of the main reasons why I do not go anywhere, because I have been in relationships and I'd be like, "Mah, mah, mah," and they'd be like, "Mah, mah, mah." I'm like, this isn't going to work. And so in order for someone to truly humble themselves and say, you know what, I'm sorry, even when I should be apologizing,
I'm quick to do that.
That is worth it. That is hands down worth it. To have someone that is humility, was a humble and full of humility, and will make me second guess myself after I've realized he said sorry. I'm like, well, I know I'm supposed to say sorry. I'm not gonna say it, but I appreciate you saying it.
But I'm a wore out though.
Yeah.
I've been just being humble.
But that makes you feel a certain way.
Well, we got 5 minutes left.
Okay.
And we want
And so what? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Now we have 5 minutes left, and this is just the introduction to our couples ministry tonight.
It's not couples ministry.
I mean, not couple ministry, but you know what I mean. Couple.
We're just doing you're just trying to have a little chit chat, little couples chit chat. Right. And prayerfully we can do it again, and you guys can offer us more topics of discussion. We're promise to be more linear.
Got a plethora of topics, and
we had a barrage of topics.
Oh my goodness.
That we could even hit on in an hour. Right. But our goal is to be as transparent, and if you know us, we are probably the most authentic and transparent people that you know. And so that is our goal, to just be true and be transparent and talk about topics that other people won't, because they're afraid to say it. But guess what? If you're not talking about what's happening, or you're not talking about your trials and your tribulations, or even your triumphs, how are you going to help other couples? Because you are struggling, and if you can't have someone to talk to and have an ear to go to, or even realize, oh, that couple's having issues, that's the same issues as us. Oh, we're not by ourselves.
Right.
That makes the biggest difference. And so that's what we want to do. You're not alone. You're not alone.
There's something that my wife would like to read from a book that we have done. And let me say this before she reads it, and then we're going to wrap it up.
Okay.
One of the things that we all tell people this: what you see is what you get. Mm-hmm. You don't get extra with us.
You might get a little bit, but
no,
it's gonna be authentic. It's gonna be authentic.
It's gonna be authentic. You know, we're not trying to be one person.
Oh yeah, no, we're not. We're not
like that. What you see is what you get. Mm-hmm. But there's something here we want to end our tonight discussion here. It's a powerful quote, and my wife, I'm gonna let her read it because she's a great reader.
When we actually were doing our couples ministry with the church, we encouraged all of our members to buy the book by Gary Thomas called Sacred Thomas. What if God designed marriage?
Thomas.
Oh, Sacred Sacred Marriage by Gary Thomas. And the quote was, what if God designed marriage to make us holy more than to make us happy?
Right.
Because we always want things to happen, and we want happiness. And happiness is an illusion because it doesn't happen all the time. And most people exit their marriages because of unhappiness. Right. And then they go to other marriages and they still are not fulfilled. Happiness starts within you. And if you can't make yourself happy, trust me, no one else will. All right? So here's the quote that we're going to leave. Are we leaving with this quote?
We're leaving with this quote, right?
All right. Struggling successfully and profitably brings a deeper joy than even trouble-free living. Shall I say it again?
Say it again.
Struggling successfully and profitably brings a deeper joy than even trouble-free living.
Amen.
So that means even on your best days and your worst days, I would rather struggle with you than be by myself, unstruggling.
Well, these people saying that struggle brings life.
That sweet enough to end on?
Amen.
All right.
Bring life to...
I'm not trying to unstruggle by myself. Struggle by myself. I'm going to struggle with you.
All right. We got a few seconds left. We want to thank everyone tonight who came
Angel,
on.
Penny, Devin...
What we got to go?
Brianna, Essence, Winston, Sora, Giles, Sands.
Oh my God! It's a lot of people.
Pal, Legadra, everybody, Young Platt, John, Anthony, everybody that came, thank you. And
thank you so much, guys.
If you're interested, if you like what you see, just send us some info. Send us a little text and let us know what we could do better, what we can not. I don't know what we cannot.
This is our pilot for
we'll
now.
take it.
Yeah, we take it, and
it's like we like feedback.
We like feedback. We love feedback, and thank you guys so much. I hope that what has been said tonight, that you were challenged, and that it may be a blessing to you. But like I said, going forward, we will, with the topic that you guys said my wife, we will delve into those topics in more detail. All right.
We love you guys.
Love you so much.
If no one else tells you, we do.
We do.
Yeah,
and then I'll send you.
Man, that's it.
Yeah, we'll send you a collection. God bless you.
We'll just cash app us.
All right. Good night. Good night, everybody.